parents are concerned over excessive stationery fees ahead of the 2025 academic year. There have been questions about some of the items that schools have listed as items that are necessary. These include, believe it or not, detergents for cleaning purposes at some schools. Joining us is Hendrick Makaneta, the Deputy Chairperson of the Foundation for Education and Social Justice Africa. Hendrick, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Has this all gone too far?
Yes, definitely. The issue of stationery has gone too far because if you check every year, in fact, a year before, most parents receive the stationery list, which contains all the items that have to be bought.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I must say that whereas it is important for us to, or for parents to rather prepare for their learners so that learners can be able to create a future for themselves, it is also important, to balance, the issue of costs with, the rising cost of living in South Africa. But more than that, I've seen in some instances there are some stationery lists where you find that there are items that are really not necessary, which may also not be used in some of the schools. It's just a matter of a routine. They do it religiously to say, this is what we need. But it does not necessarily mean that everything that is on the list will be utilized for the year.
So do we need an overhaul of the system? Because now to have things like detergents being put as a request, paper towels or toilet paper for bathrooms as well, and other home products, that just seems like we've now crossed the Rubicon here. We're now no longer looking at schooling. Now we're looking at what the school needs to be providing, and they're shying away from doing that themselves.
Definitely. I would say that for learners in the in the grade R level, their needs may not be different from someone who's in grade 12,
Sure.
for example. So I would understand if a school says, maybe bring a bag or a pack of Twin Saver, for example, for a grade R learner.
Yeah.
Because they go through a lot.
Sure.
They need to be attended to. But of course, things such as general tissue papers have to be provided by the school. But I must understand that, and detergents, as you have said, in some of the schools, we're talking about, education is divided into two in South Africa. You've got your private institutions, you also have your public institutions.
Yeah.
Some of these public schools are struggling a lot to a point where parents are able to have a meeting with the principal and the staff and, the SGB general
Sure.
to say how best can we ensure that, the school has what it needs or the needs of the school. And sometimes parents themselves are the ones who agree to say, yes, we will be able to provide 1, 2, and 3.
In so doing, how then do we best conduct this practice from here on? Because it's a necessary one. It's one that clearly helps students to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Then to the next extent, for some parents, it may feel like you're just feeding two households where one needs to matter, because you still have to worry about what the child eats on a day-to-day basis, which you would do then at home. Their homework, their schoolwork, plus home equipment and detergents and the like. Surely that can be a bit disparaging for parents.
Definitely. In such a case, I would say that, parents must agree with, the management of the school to say that those parents who are willing to go an extra mile, especially those who feel that they can afford to assist the school, they should be allowed to do so.
Sure.
But of course, those parents who also feel that they are overburdened, the schools should be able to make a reservation to say, you are not forced. This is not going to be compulsory for everyone, and be able to make create that exception so that parents can be able to breathe. I mean, the cost of food in some of these schools, especially your quintile 4 and 5, along with your private schools, it's quite exorbitant. And obviously, when we talk about quintile 1, 2, and 3, we do expect that learners will be able to be provided with the meals at school. So parents in that instance don't have to really worry much because such schools, as I said, we must be able to make a distinction. Those in quintile 1, they don't have to worry about pocket money for the child. So again, they don't have to be overburdened with the list of stationery that needs to be provided.
What's government's role, particularly in the public school sector here? What's government's role in providing the necessary ablution facilities, the facilities you need to go to the bathroom, for example, whether it be toilet papers, whether it be other detergents and the like? I mean, we could just go through, for example, this tweet that we're actually seeing on air. I don't know how close you can see it, but you have things, everything from water paint brushes, etc., 4 rulers, erasers, everything. A lot of that makes sense. But if you were then to include things like we're just speaking about now, where does government then come in?
Well, government has got a responsibility to make sure that they create a conducive environment for learning and teaching. And in the process, they must be able to provide learners with whatever they need. I know that in terms of stationery, learners receive textbooks. They don't have to bring textbooks into schools.
Sure.
And of course, the stationery is normally provided every year. But what I see in this list is normally things that we see also in private schools, where you find that parents receive this list. And I know that some public schools also do that, to say this is the list of everything that we need. But you see, the problem here is one. It is the school that issues the parents with this stationery list. But if you go deeper into the school, if I'm a teacher, as an example, I'm the one who is going to provide, learning and teaching in the classroom. In actual fact, I'm the one who knows what is it that I need.
Yes.
That is why earlier on I said, if you check this list, you'll find that not everything will be utilized for the year. This is just, I'll give an example. Someone is sitting in the kitchen, someone is a cook. They know exactly what they need. And, as a father, you can buy groceries and so on, but you may find that some of the things that you have bought, if you don't consult with them, those who are using these things, you may buy even things that are not really necessary. I've seen in some instances, I won't mention the school. In my school, my child is attending in one of the schools where I received a stationery. I remember that when I went there, the teacher had to cancel a lot of things there on that list to say, look, don't buy this. Don't buy it, because I'm the teacher, I'm the one who knows. I'm not going to use these things. So in most cases, parents spend money on even things that are not going to be utilized for the year.
Yeah. So a whole reform ultimately needed when it comes to that. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the things. We have some newspapers here and some of the papers from retailers that offer the kind of understanding of what could be bought. I mean, things like reams of paper have always been on this list as well. And that price just keeps skyrocketing as well and becomes a major cost for parents as well here. I want to talk about school uniform, though, as well, if we add this to the list. I grew up in a time where there really was only one supplier for my school uniform.
Yeah.
If I ever wanted somebody else to purchase it from, I'd have to go to the second-hand shop, which I did quite frequently as well in my day. Is it time for us to look at this completely differently now and say competition breeds best pricing for consumers?
Definitely.
That's the hope anyway.
Yes.
And so we need more retailers providing the same the same service to schools.
We do. We definitely do. I think that many schools, even today, this year, 2025, there are schools which have monopolized this industry of uniform. To say parents will only buy at this firm or at this location or at this own shop, rather. Yeah. And for us, that is a cause for great concern, because you then limit parents in terms of where they should buy. And you'll find that there are other shops which are quite cheaper.
Yeah.
The parent cannot buy there simply because they are restricted. But the Competition Commission made a ruling recently to say there must be open competition. Parents should be allowed to go and buy anywhere where they wish to buy. The only exception, of course, would be if you look at other schools, they may have their own
emblem. Yes.
Yeah, in such a case, you find that, the production is only made at one factory, and, parents are limited to buy in that. But things such as your, the pants or trousers, rather.
Yes.
I mean, if you want, as a child needs a grey trouser, I see no reason why the child or the parents cannot be allowed to walk into any store where it's cheaper, so that they can buy, because there's simply no emblem there.
Yeah. Have we just gotten to a stage of exploitation for parents here?
We have. School, remember, education, as I said, those private schools sell education. So one of the main objectives of providing a private education is to make profit.
Yes.
So if the school cannot make profit, they might as well close doors, because it is a business where they sell education. So in the process, they also find a way to make more profit through uniforms, to say that this is our a place where we're going to buy uniforms, and then they charge exorbitant fees so that they can be able to make more profit.
Should we be having some sort of subsidy on schooling, whether it be the stationery lists, etc., how schools are formulated in terms of those uniforms as well? Should there be some sort of subsidy, you think?
Well, a subsidy would be much more welcome. But of course, you know that government does not really subsidize some of these things, such as uniform or stationery, in some of the schools which are private. But of course, public schools, already we've got grants that are meant to subsidize our learners, such as the grant responsible for providing the meals, for example. There's a specific grant that comes from government. So already I can say, to a large extent, the public schools, particularly those that are in rural areas, are subsidized.
Yeah.
But of course, the issues are there. We still have a lot of unresolved issues when it comes to township schools, as well as some of the schools in the rural areas.
Hendrick, I think there's going to be so much to actually unpack with all of this, because there's disgruntled parents around the country who are facing this head-on right now and need to look towards this for some time now as well. But we appreciate your time joining us here on set as well, unpacking this a little bit and the hardship that it shares as well for parents. Hendrick Makaneta is the Deputy Chairperson then for the Foundation